All right, first question that came in. Everybody talks about building passive income streams, but every passive opportunity I'm looking at requires considerable time investment or money investment with no guarantees of success. Real estate, online courses, affiliate marketing, they all seem to require years of active work before it becomes passive. Am I missing something, or uh, is passive income some sort of marketing hype? What's the realistic path here?
Dude, I'm gonna write down my answer here. Well, I would say first of all, I'd say define passive income because the list that you rattled off, a lot of that's I didn't hear one truly passive income opportunity in there, not one. Real estate, absolutely not passive. The Chuck invests in real estate, I invest in real estate, you're involved in real estate, I know.
Hmm.
Would anybody in here say that real estate is passive?
No.
Absolutely not. So that's not passive. Of course, there's but there's a difference between like how much time you spend making the money, right? Because passive income, you have to build it. Real estate, you've got to buy and then you have to maintain it somehow. And when your renters destroy the place, you have to fix it. When you don't have renters, you have to pay for it, and that's negative passive income, which is a new word, right?
Hmm.
I'm experiencing some real negative passive income right now, some real estate. So, and different business opportunities, yada yada yada. There's affiliate marketing programs, for example. A lot of the affiliate marketing programs that I've seen, anyway. And you can tell me, how yours is different, but it's not passive. It's not passive at all. You're selling a product. You're throwing some advertising out there online, and maybe people buy, and maybe I don't know, come back and buy more. I don't know, but usually, you know there's very little to passive. Let's think of what's passive. Um, and I honestly, is there anything that's truly passive? I'm not sure, because even what we do is very passive. Um, we do credit card processing, so you add a client, and it doesn't take much effort to. You don't have to do much maintaining at all. You get them on board. You make sure that they're running right, and they don't really want to talk to you. You don't have to call them back and sell more stuff. They just keep running. You want to keep in contact every once in a while, just to, it's because other people are trying to get their business too. But allows us to stack on more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So every client that we add, we get a raise, and it doesn't, in what we do. It doesn't, we don't pay for advertising, so it doesn't cost a lot, um, to build that. It's sweat equity. So you asked a lot of questions, right? You asked about passive income opportunities. It takes money to do it, and it takes a long time to do it. Passive income, when you go get a job, they start paying you right away. When you start building passive income, you make nothing, and then you make a little bit. Like the first passive income I ever had, it was like $6 a month, 5.95 or whatever that was. And at first, it's like, I'm so excited to make 5.95 a month, and then it was, you have two of those, and it's almost $12. But pretty soon, it was enough to make my little. I had a little white pickup at the time, little Chevy S10, and I think my pickup payment was like $150. And so pretty soon I had my pickup payment taken care of over a few months, right? About $150 a month passive income. But then it's more and more and more. And I remember, and back then my overhead was pretty low. And I think it cost like, $34,000 a year to survive, to meet my bills. But I remember when my passive income got to the point where the monthly check that I received, it was something like, I received a check. Back then they didn't deposit money in your account. Back in the olden days, you get checks, and it was 3,400 and some odd dollars. And I remember, it's like, I showed the check to my wife. I go, look at this, look at you know this is coming in every month. We're free at this lifestyle that we're at, and so that's to address your time question. Does it take time? Yeah, it takes time. Pat, you will not get free overnight with passive income. Passive income grows slow, but it also you want to get into something that also goes away slow. So like integral to people's life, like uh, lights. Like when you go to your home and flip on the light switch, somebody's making passive income off your utility usage. You don't really think about it. You want your lights to come on, you want your stove to work, fridge to work, and all those things. So it's very integral to your life. So utilities are a cool deal. Your phone, you know, use it. People they can't get away from it. They're addicted to it. So that's in their minds very integral. And if you want to make a phone call, it's important to have. You know, even before cell phones, right? The phones used to hang in the wall back in the olden days. You know, those cost $20 a month. You know, and what was it? The Bell Company. You know,
Bell.
they were so big. They were a monopoly. They'd split them up into Midwestern Bell and Atlantic Pacific Bell and all that. But that was passive income. And of course, they had to maintain. You know, they had trucks and wires and people working, and so it wasn't entirely passive for them either. Um, but in anything that you start and do, as subscriptions are a good, like especially for software that people are going to use every day, so is a good thing. Anything where you could get subscribers that are going to use the thing that you're selling, and they're going to use it every day. They're not going to go, I don't really use that anymore, so I may as well get rid of the subscription. But those are the ones that are probably mostly passive, but it's still you've got to go out and get those clients. But the cool thing about passive income though is you, even if it's small, your monthly income continues to grow, and pretty soon at some point, depending how well your system about going about acquiring new business is, the better the system, the faster you're going to get to the point where, like, if this is your bills and this is your passive income, and you're going,
Right.
and then you hit here, and this is free, right? When your passive income meets or exceeds your bills, and then when you go like this is all extra money, and so you can either do that, like now with this money. Like one of the things that Chuck and I have done is use this money to buy real estate. And then you get some passive income off real estate. Hopefully it appreciates. You can do whatever, you can build some value in it. Uh, you can live in a different place. You can travel more. And if it's passive too, and if you've got this money coming in every month, and it meets or exceeds your bills, you can be pretty much wherever you want to be in the world. You have a lot of freedom. You can stay at home. You can build more. You can stop. It gives you choices. So passive income, though, it does take a little while to build, versus just going to get a job, which, a lot of people won't. They all want this. They all want this place where they have passive income and they're free. The thing is, though, the choices along the way. They go, well, I can go out and I need to get a job because I need to pay those bills. Okay, well, maybe figure out how can you be innovative enough to figure out how to pay those bills until you do this thing. It's like, I think building passive income is like losing weight. Most people would love to be too thin and trim, but they won't necessarily do those things to do it. Instead, they'll suck down thousand calorie drinks, and just like most people will go get a job and then try to figure out something some other time to get free. But yeah, it takes a little while. But if it took, let's say, for hypothetically, it took 7 years to get free. If it took 7 years to go from here to here, but if or you can go work for however long a career is and never get free. It's kind of where it lies. It's like you're willing to do which one do you what lifestyle do you want? And so yeah, it takes a while, but you can speed things up if in there you're going, all right, uh, um, how can I speed this up? How can I cut my time in half, or at least cut a couple years? How can I speed this up? And so that's one of the things that Chuck and I work on, or have worked on and continue to work on over the years, is how to speed that up. Because we want this much money, because then you can buy all kinds of real estate and have all kinds of negative passive income that eats away at your real passive income. But that's a whole nother story. But um,
And I think
um,
the root of that question too was, looking at a lot of different deals, you know, um, I think it's going to be really difficult for someone to go out there and go, I just figured out the new passive income stream. If you're most likely you're going to join forces with someone. And I think it's important when you do that, you have to look at the model, and some things cost money, some things don't.
Yeah.
But you got to get in, work with people that really understand how to make it work. That's the important thing. A lot of people, they just sign up for these passive income deals and they think they can be passive on their work and expect to get passive income. It's like, no. You need to have good mentorship in someone who's done
Yeah.
it, show you how to do it. Because
That's
it's not
true.
easy.
I saw, yeah. It's like opportunity, opportunity, discipline, results,
Yeah.
right there. And within that discipline too, something that Chuck mentioned is what a lot of people get roped into. Like they join a network marketing organization, for
Hmm.
example, and those aren't typically passive either. They're different, right? They're network marketing. But I use that just as an illustration. I don't dislike multi-level marketing, network marketing. I don't mind it at all. I don't do it, but usually you get roped in by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. They go, "Oh man, you can make all this money." They're hopeful that they're going to make the money. They probably never will, and most of them don't. And most people that get into business opportunities don't, because what Chuck said. He said, you got to get in with somebody, and somebody somebody who knows what they're talking about, who has firsthand experience, know what they're talking about because of that firsthand experience, and they've been successful doing it. You get into an organization where people have no idea. They're just going to do what everybody else in the world does, which isn't typically very successful. It's got to be a model that works with people that know how to work it successfully, and that's what most places don't have, is getting in. You don't have the ability to connect with and run stuff by somebody who really understands. It goes, yeah, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, seeing, that's
Hmm.
not really necessarily face value. It's not really what it is. Here's what's really going on, and here's what we found to work around it. That is something that will make you, rather than never understanding what you're running into. Yeah, the getting in with people that know, and
I mean, to get into truly, truly passive income deals, you have to have money before you get into those. Like, let me give me an example. Like with the industry we're in, you can start with zero money and build it. You have to work it and build it and then eventually be free. If I wanted to be free just with earning interest off my money, I got to come to the table with a bunch of money. I got to get there somehow, because the only true passive income is you take your $3 million and you put it in an account where you're earning 4% on it. That is the only truly passive income there is. The problem is, how many people do you know have $3 million to do that, to survive on? So there's,
well, let's just for fun, let's run those numbers. What are you making it? What's a an easy to calculate interest rate today?
well, 4% on 3 million. What is that? That's 120,000 a year
So
in
that's ten
passive
thousand a
income.
month.
Yeah,
So
10,000 a
so
month.
10,000 a month, and I think, okay, how long? So when you look at a passive income deal, you go, all right, how long does it take for me to get to 10 grand a month? Is it gonna how can I get to 10 grand a month sooner building passive income, or getting $3 million, which most people never do. But let's say you
Hmm.
could. How long would it take you to save $3 million versus build 10,000 in passive income? So passive income is worth doing because it's a much quicker way to freedom than trying to accumulate $3 million and then put it in the bank and get a taxable income of 10
Right,
grand a month. I mean, both
right.
of these are taxable. So, but well, actually, some of this isn't, because if you have your own business, building passive income, all your expenses are pre-tax, and interest income is not. As far as I'm not an accountant, don't play one on TV, but
Right.
I do believe that's 100% regular income taxable. Is that right, Ian? You would know more.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, yeah. So for that reason too, so you probably have to have $4 million
Right.
to end up with the same net amount as earning $10,000 a month in passive income. And I don't know about other deals, but I'm just thinking, quickly calculating here, like with what we do, it'd probably take, once you have to, I would say in what we're doing, 3 years. 6 months to really get up to speed and get your stuff
Let's say
together, and
let's
then
say
two and
it's
a half.
not let's say it's four. Let's just say it's even four.
Okay.
I mean, where do you get to the point where you have that kind of revenue coming in monthly in 4 years? I don't know many people that can save $3 million in 4 years to get there. I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Right.
don't know a lot of people who can do that.
Yeah. And so there's the thing. Back to this. Are you willing to work for 4 years to get free? Are you willing to work 4 years to get free? And then imagine 4 years later, if you continue at the same pace, you're making twice the money that you made, that you were even looking for to get free. Now you've got 10,000 a month of extra money to get into, let's say, real estate. So now you've got 10 grand a month. You can get into a lot of real estate for 10 grand a month.
Hmm.
And then you can also afford. So hopefully you buy it right, you get some appreciation, and in there, everything isn't going to go to plan. You're going to have some pieces of real estate that just take a while to rent. Or whatever you do, it's not always going to be positive. Hopefully, it's going to be more positive and negative. But when you have the down months or something like a COVID happens and nobody pays the rent, well, you've got this extra 10 grand to cover those mortgages. And that's one thing that people don't tell you about real estate investing is when
Hmm.
stuff hits the fan. How do you pay for this? Like, if you've got a regular job and you're making X amount of dollars,
You
and you
can't
go,
pay
man, I
for it.
finally was able. Yeah, I know people who have bought real estate, having a regular job, even having their own business, but it's not passive and they don't have excess passive. And you want excess. You don't want just to be, I don't know what you want. I want
Hmm. Hmm.
excess passive income so that I can buy other stuff. I want to buy a Porsche. I want to do fun stuff. I want to be able to travel around, have the money and the time because when I'm here, I have all the money I need, and I don't have to spend any time working. I shouldn't say that. And what we do is probably about a day a week just to maintain everything. But I can do it from the way I had done it. I can do it from anywhere I want. So now I'm free. I don't have any money to go anywhere, but I have all the time. But if I make a little bit more money, now I've got all the time and I've got a little bit more money than all my
Hmm.
bills. And so the more money I have, I still have all the time, but now I have more and more and more money to travel or to
Right.
to invest in other things. And you don't have to invest in real estate. Invest in play it, the stock market. Well, I don't know, whatever.
Well, just buy dividend stocks then.
Or do whatever you want to do,
Get your
right?
qualified dividends and whatever, and then you have more passive income.
Or when
So
when uh when I was growing up, I worked at a service station, pumping gas, washing windows, checking oil, tires, and all that kind of stuff. And the guy, Leo, the guy I worked for, he goes, John, save your money, buy good beer. Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's small town Iowa advice. It was good advice.
Right. Right.
But
But
that
advice, that's
yeah,
wisdom
so
talking.
just buy good beer, instead of buying cheap ice cream, buy the really good ice cream with that excessive passive income. Did that answer the question, Ian? So
Yeah.
so so it was like, okay, you have to be mindful, what passive income you're getting into. And how long does it take? It takes time. You start from zero. You start from
Yeah.
zero and you build. And that's one of the things that people are like, I can't afford that. Okay, you can't afford to be free. Okay, then you haven't really defined freedom, because not everybody wants to be free. Freedom's not for everyone. It's a different road. You don't get free doing what everybody else does. You get free doing something different, and that's one of the things people don't understand. They think, I'll just get into a passive income deal, or something to get free, and I'm going to work like I've always worked, or like I see how to work. And that's where it's so important, if you're going to get into something that, because this channel is all about freedom, right? It's the Freedom Challenge.
Mhm.
So it's a challenge because it's not like everything else, and that's one of the things that snags people up. You get paid differently. You operate a little bit differently. And so you've got to learn, you have to be wanting to drop into this, understanding that you wanting to learn new stuff. I want to learn new stuff because I want to get free. So that's why it's important to work with somebody who has firsthand experience, knowing exactly how to do what it is you want to do, and will take you under their wing and do it. So hopefully they have a vested interest in your success. If they don't have a vested interest in your success, they're not going to care whether you're successful or not. I mean, they're going to care because they hope you have a good life, but they're really going to care. They're going to like lose sleep over. They're going to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and go,
Right.
okay, how can I help Ian do this a little bit better tomorrow? That's what you want. You want to hook up with that. Uh, if that person is really good at what they do and their brain, yeah, they've already been successful, so they've already figured things out. Now they're figuring you out and helping you figure you out. That's a huge deal.
Mhm.
That will cut your time and down by a great deal. So anyway, back to, so it was really what kind of passive income do you really want? That's first of all. Don't just jump into one because it sounds like passive. Oh, that's a jingle word. I want that. Well, what kind? It's not repeat business. It's passive income. One customer that you continue to make all this money off of without them having to come back and buy more bananas from you. So make sure you understand what kind of, because repeat business is not passive. It's a totally different thing. It's not at all passive. It's just you don't have to find new sales, but you're never going to get further than the number of customers that you can maintain. So make sure you get into the right passive income and the things that utilities, software as a service. We do credit card processing. Um, I mean, those are kind of the ones. And then make sure you hook up with somebody that has successful experience doing this,
Mhm.
and there's a method that you go, I see this. This makes sense, and that person that you're hooking up with and working with has a vested interest in your success.
Yeah,
Does that help?
that's it.
Yeah.
Right,
Sorry, Sean.
right on. No, I'd spot on. And I always say, don't approach passive income passively.
Yeah.
When you get into passive income, you go after it like, because it's a sprint. You don't have to do it for 50 years or 45 years. You go after it and go, look, I need to do this in 4 or 5, or hey, I'm going, I want 8 years of career and I'm done, or done. I'm done to the point where all I got to do is maintain. That's
Hmm.
why, like, I equate it to when you're out of shape, it's really hard to get into shape. When you're in shape, it's a lot easier to maintain, right? That's just how
Yeah.
it goes. It's easier to maintain. Same thing with passive income if you do it.
I my analogy is a house. I think, okay, it's like if I once I build this house, I don't have to build it anymore. I just
Right.
live in it. So passive income, like getting up to here, is like building my house.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just live in it. I don't have to build it anymore. I
Oh,
can build more houses if I want. I can build up, yeah, I can add on to the house, but I don't have to build it anymore. And so I think of it as a project. Most people think of work as a career. Oh, here's what I'm going to do, and then what they do is they get into this, like everything that they see out in the world is you get into this and you do this forever until you can't do it anymore, or you die or retire, whatever the case is, and that's what you do. That's what work is. And I think, that's what work is for some people. But if you choose to take on the freedom challenge, you look at work as more of like, okay, how do I build my house so that how quickly can I build this? How quickly can I get free? It's a project. All I'm doing is a project. It's a project. It's not a career. It's a project because then I'm going to do a bunch of other things too. I'm going to use that excess passive income to build another project, which is maybe real estate or a portfolio or a travel portfolio. All these things. I just want to get in. I just want to get free first. I mean, it's just a project. Let's go lickety
yeah.
split. And so when we go about it that way, it's not like the job, like the average job where you go, got to go to work again, and I'm going to get there as late as possible. I'm going to do as little as possible. I'm going to get out of there as early as possible and go have some drinks to try to drown my misery and escape this horrible deal. And you never get anywhere. You want to get free, but that's not the stuff that gets free. But when we shift and we go, man, let's and there's some things you're gonna have to figure out if you've never built a house before.
Got to figure it
There's some
out.
there's some things and there's some workarounds. But you can do it. Most any knucklehead can build a house, and most and really the way we talk about doing this with the method that we do it, one of the things that we say is, look, if the only way it doesn't work is if you don't do it. If you want to build your own house, you can figure that stuff out. You can do this. You can find the workarounds. If you've never even picked up a hammer before, you can do it. There's a lot to learn. If you want to get free, and if you've never even been in this ballpark before, there's a bit to learn, but you can do it. Yeah. Does that answer that? That was a lot of answer for a question, but that's kind of how we operate.
A lot to unravel in that one. All right, let's.
Well, hopefully not. We should give you make sure that you understand what kind of passive income make sure that, let's okay, so let's make it so it's not a lot to unravel. The first thing you need to do is understand the kind of life that you want. You really have to define that, like even draw a picture of it. And I've got the kids, the house, the car, and here's what and the things that we're doing. There's vacations, and how much does that cost every month? Okay, it costs $10,000 a month to live that lifestyle. Okay, now I know how much money I need to make. I go, okay, there's time involved in these things. Like I want to go to kids stuff. I want to travel. I want to do these things. I want to have downtime to go to the museum and all these things that I want to do. Chuck wants to go to the marionette and puppet show, and whatever he wants to do during Christmas time.
Annual
And
thing.
so he needs time. He needs time to do that. So you need to work in a way that gives you the time to do these things. So otherwise, because that helps you experience the essence of freedom starting right away. So you don't. Most people go, oh, someday I'll be free. Nah, you probably won't. But if you start to go, all right, what are the little things that I can do to get the feeling of freedom, like right now? How can I do this a little bit differently to get the essence, the feeling of these things that I want to experience, and not just someday, but I want to start feeling them now. So that's how you start. So as you said, a lot to unravel. Well, the first thing to unravel is nothing about passive income. It's the lifestyle that you want to live. That most people will spend more time designing their room layout than they will designing a lifestyle. So take some real, okay, here's what I want to accomplish. Even if you can't think forever, it's like, okay, but as far as you can think, draw that out like a blueprint. And then, all right, what kind of work will help me build that money and give me the time. So it's important that those two, where those overlay, that's what you want to do. Where they don't overlay, that's absolutely do not do that stuff. Only do where it overlays, gives me the money and gives me the time. So that's where you start with that idea, and then you go, okay. And if you want to do passive income, you go, okay, well, which passive income fits that, and it fits something that I'm interested in. That makes me feel, like let's say credit card processing, for example, is somewhat interesting to me because I get to work with entrepreneurs, and I like that part of it. You know, Other stuff regarding credit card processing, I could care less about. I really don't care. It's not interesting to me, some of the stuff. I don't like everything A to Z, but the credit card processing industry, I like some of the aspects of it, and it's enough of the aspects of it that I go, yeah, this is something, there's a little bit of technical stuff to it. I get to work with people who I think are interesting and that they want to achieve more. And I like talking opportunity. I like talking achievement, and I like helping people do that. So that's something that I can do throughout my day that's I like. So for me, it's a good fit. If I was selling utilities, I don't know. I've never done that. Would that be if I was selling software, depending on what the software did, if it was accounting software, I probably would hang myself from the rafters, and it
Right.
would never work. So it's important to understand, that what is it? Are you going to enjoy your day? And then who are you working with, right? Can you, some people, you know, I don't care. I hate you. I'm not gonna. I don't want to. I don't hate you. Well, but yeah, it's just like some people just rub you the wrong way. It's like I can't. I can't do this. I'm going to not want to come. I'm not going to want to work, and so that 4 years is going to be extended to forever, and it's never going to work. So it's important to work with the right people, doing the right thing. That it's the work that funds and supports the lifestyle that you want to live. So those are the things I would say that I would look at, like when you said a lot to unravel. I'd start there.
Great. I think that hits their question. All right. Next question in the that came in here. I've hired 6 people over the last 2 years. They all start enthusiastic and engaged, but within a few months they become clock watchers who do the minimum required. I think I pay competitively and treat the people well and try to have a fun, good culture. Everyone just says I need to have better hiring processes or performance management.
You
Is
need to
this
have
just
what? After what?
better hiring processes or performance management, like performance review stuff? I'm thinking, what am I missing something about how to keep people motivated, or is this just hiring people?
This is probably, honestly, this is one of the biggest questions to ask, because when you start dealing with employees, is understand they are going to have a little bit of a different vested interest than you do, right? So they're probably not going to be as excited about it as you are. And I think what happens with a lot of people that are trying to scale their deal is they're professionals, they're phenomenal at it, they're reaping the rewards of being phenomenal at it. So it's really exciting and fun for them. Now they want to scale it, right? So they're not bottlenecking and slowing down. So they bring people in. At the beginning, they're great. But what happens is you still are focused on doing the things that you did before. You're driving the deal. Someone has to manage them. In managing them isn't just performance reviews and hiring. There's day-to-day management going on. You have to create an environment where people, and you can tell by how we handle things on our credit card processing deal, is that everybody benefits from more success. So you have different engagement going on, right? So they know they can make more money. Every account that we write, they make more money. You know, they have that same kind of vested interest pulling in the same direction. I'll tell you, one of the things that I've never been good at is being a, rah, 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 rah guy. I expected people to be like, self-motivated. Like if I knew I had an opportunity ahead of me to come in and make more money than I ever made in my life, I expected people would just step into that and give it their all. But everybody can't do that, right? Or everybody does. You try to hire those. There are people out there, but they're hard to recognize sometimes because how they interview and how they show up to their first day at work is often different. Or they show up that way for a while, then it wanes off. It's just part of the deal. It's your job as a leader to keep that alive within your organization. But do your best to hire people that need very minimal to stay motivated because they're self-motivated. But set up your deal where they can benefit with that self-motivation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a guy just, if you had a painting, look at any deal out there. If you had a painting company, look, I'm going to pay you bonuses on performance. You make X an hour, and then if you paint it in this amount of time, you make more money. You have to do things to keep it interesting. Because people fall into it's just like John was explaining before on the previous question. It's just you show up as an employee and you operate that way. Okay, I'm in at 8:01 and I leave at 4:59. You got to
And mentally you were checked out at 3:59.
Right. So that's a tough one. That's a really, really tough question. But it's all environment. And a lot of really smart business owners hire people, they bring in buffers, because I know one of the things I've struggled with, and I know John has too, is we think everybody's self-motivated. So it's hard for me to sit there and like hold your hand all day. I want to do other things to grow the business too. So you have to hire someone that can handle that aspect of it for you, because maybe you're just not good at it. That's why they say never, if you have a top salesperson, that doesn't mean they're going to be a great manager. It's
and they're usually not.
Yeah, it's a different mindset being a great salesperson as opposed to being a great manager. It's just different. That's such a broad, that's so big, that question. If we had specifics like, hey, I'm in this business, here's what I'm doing, it'd be easy to come up with some creative ideas to help keep your people motivated. But on a general, it's like, dude, it's management. You have to figure out how to keep motivated. I've yet to figure
Yeah.
out how to hire 100% of the people that we hire. I would love to say they're all super self-motivated. They're not. They're just not. Even people that come in here and go, I want this opportunity, that aren't employees. There are sales partners out there. Some are hugely motivated, more so than I am, and some just aren't. It's just the nature of the beast. I don't know what to
Yeah.
add to
We've
that, John.
Well, I would say you brought up, Chuck. You brought up what kind of business are you in. I'll give you our experience. We've done this for literally 30 years. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of growth, starting from alone in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's finding people uh, to do different things as you're wanting to expand. But let's say that you're beyond that, and this person has hired 6 people. Your example, they hired 6 people in the last year or two, whatever it is, and yeah, we've made a lot of mistakes hiring. I think we've made a tremendous number of mistakes hiring, and we've advanced people into positions like Chuck was saying. Just because somebody's a really good sales manager does not mean that they're or good at sales going to be a good manager. They're typically absolutely not a good manager. They were really good at that thing, and you made a total mistake. But a lot of people in this country, it's like, oh, I want to advance their ideas, advance, advance, advance. Well, you advanced yourself into being inept. You advance to the point where you're really good at the previous position, you're not good at the one that you're in now. That happens all day long in this country. Where in other countries, I don't think it's quite like that. They like you go to Europe and people are professional waiters. In this country, there aren't that many professional waiters.
Right.
Transitioning, it's a weird word to use today. There's moving through. They're not going to be there, usually. Some of them will. Some places you'll see somebody stay there for years, and that's true. But we've made a lot. I think we've made the classic mistakes. We're excited about our deals. People interview, we go, oh, we do a lot of talking. I do too much, as you can probably see in these videos. I go, man, here's what we're doing, and they go, yeah, 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 that's all me. And I go, oh, good, let's go do this. And then when they show up, and it's like, well, what happened to Janie, the one that I interviewed? Because this one is that one's excited to do what I was talking about, and this one is a frumple lump. You're no good. You're boring. And now now she doesn't work out, and you go, okay, she's gonna quit. Do we have to get rid of her? In some places too, uh, getting rid of somebody is really hard. We are in Minnesota, which is not a friendly business state. So you have people that get angry at you. Well, and whatever the case is, and then they leave and they decide to sue you. That's what Minnesota is like. A lot of employers get sued, and so you've got to be very careful. So we've brought on some of the wrong people. We've brought on too many of the wrong people, I would say. But we're so excited about what we're doing, and they get wrapped up in it, and they want to do it. But we probably saw a reflection of us in their eyes and didn't really see them. So we've made mistakes, and in it. Not all mistakes. I'm not saying we did everything wrong. We've grown a really great deal, and but and along the way we've always looked for ways to um, help them do better financially also, like profit sharing and bonuses and that sort of thing. And we found that also the people that everybody wants more money, so they're all going to think that's great. But what I think we were missing in a lot of people in the past is an entrepreneurial spirit. An entrepreneur, and that doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur. You're just spirited that way. You're probably never going to have your own business, but you love the opportunity to like, I can come in here and create more. Yeah, you can. Well, that's what I want to do. I want to be part of that instead of, and it's a benefit for us too, because as they can create more, it's not like every year you've got to. I don't like managing. Somebody once said you're made up of artist, entrepreneur, and manager. What are you? And I can manage, but I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. So if they can be self-managed more, that's great. So so self-managed people are different spirited. They would love everybody's going to say they love the compensation schedule when you set it up and go, you can get profit sharing here. It's like, really, that's awesome. And so, I was the point that the track that I was on a moment ago was that way we don't have to have the annual review and we go, all right, we're going to give you X% raise and all that kind of thing. What in this way they can create the amount of money that they want to make, to a point, depending on your commission schedule. It's harder to do that as an employer. Most people do everything in life just like everybody else does. Well, this is how it's done, so we're going to do it like this. Well, the salary range for this position is this. I don't believe in that. I go, well, that's fine, but it's not for. Remember, we look at this through for freedom goggles, right? Freedom glasses, like putting on X-ray glasses. We're seeing differently. And so if we go, all right, if I'm in business to be free, then then getting bottlenecked with managing these people, they need to be the right people so I can manage less and we can all prosper. If I have to manage more, then I can't. It's hard for me to be free. It's hard for me to be free being a manager. That's. Have you ever seen a manager? That's not a position that gets free. You know, as a business owner, you want to step back. Just step back for a moment and go, okay, where's it that I want to go, and how can I find the right people? So the right entrepreneurial spirited people. Again, they're not necessarily entrepreneurs because they're probably out doing their own thing, but they have this thing that they go, yeah, that's great. And then also they have the capability to do these things, like the potential in them to do these things, not just sit there and you do all the work and they make more and more money. They have to have the ability to build their own little income within your business. And yeah. So so we've gone from we've gone really more that route now. So if you come and work with us, the chances are it doesn't matter what your position is, you have an opportunity to make more based on what you do and how well you do it. So
Meritocracy.
customer support. What's that?
Meritocracy.
I don't know what that word means.
You're paid on merit. How well you do is how much you
Oh,
make. I think
what's the word?
meritocracy.
Meritocracy.
Yeah,
That seems like a good place to live, in a meritocracy.
I
Yeah, yeah,
think
you're
so.
based on merit. Like, yeah, if you want freedom, if you want to win,
Right.
you need to set it up so you make money on merit, and hopefully passively, so
Right.
the merit compounds. Uh, you know, your merit plus a good commission plan or a pay plan, it's a synergy, right? Two things that work together to make things better. Yeah. And
And
so that's what we look for. It's like the people, the pay them right, and then they do it. And
and
then everybody elevates. We all live an elevated lifestyle. They're more excited. They're thinking. They're innovative, right? Now they're innovative.
and that's
And
that's hiring right. I mean, that's hiring right. And I think
yeah,
that
yep.
the difficult thing in what this person's running into is you got to have the right expectations too, right? Like, and you see it all the time. If you see somebody that's like a really good golfer, let's use this for an analogy. I think analogies are great. And everybody has something that they're probably really good at. When you're trying to teach someone who's not really good at it, it's frustrating. You don't like it because, it's like, how do you not get this? It's so easy for me. I'm an okay golfer. I'm not a great golfer, but like a really good golfer teaching someone who knows nothing about golf is frustrating. You run into the same thing within your business, right? Especially if you built it from the ground up. If you built it from the ground up and you're to the point where you're successful enough where you can expand your team, you're going to have a certain level of frustration with people coming in that don't get it. So you need to set it up in a fashion that, you may have spent 5 years getting it. These people can't get what took you 5 years to learn in a month. So there's a lot of work. That's why I said this is such a big question. You've got to set it up right and like, have the right comp plan where people want to be. I heard the term entrepreneur years ago where I'm entrepreneurial spirited, but I'm inside your deal. I'm working in your deal.
Yep.
You got to kind of, you got to do it right. You got to set it up right, have the right expectations. Okay, I need to feed them this. Because one of the things we always struggled with too is how much do you educate them up front? Because a
Yeah.
lot of things that you experience, like college, they have different like 100 level, 400 level classes, right? And they have everything in between. So you have to go, you're not ready for that. And that's a mistake I
Yeah.
made historically, is that you think you can go, yeah, and you can explain it to them and work through a couple scenarios. And then when you see it live, they're not quite getting it. So
Yeah.
it needs to be the right transition from you getting out of it and them coming into it. The best I've ever seen is when I hired someone, and the gentleman is still with us today. He sat right outside my office, and it was like constantly on the phone with him, teaching him. Even our outside sales partners, the one that you're heavily interacted with, those find success more. And then you cookie cut it. You figure that out, you systemize it, and then you try to cookie cut that. What happens, I think a lot of people just hire a bunch of people right away thinking they're all going to get it. And then it's like chaotic, it's problems, business suffers, you're angry, they're angry, everybody's not feeling good. Do it the right way. We're not packing boxes. We have things that take some critical thinking going on. That's why I was curious what kind of business it was. How much critical thinking does this position require? Can I have someone come in and do it at a level where they don't need to really critically think that much? It just depends on the deal. And I know it's kind of tough, like I said, without knowing exactly what their deal was, but have the right expectations, set it up, do it with one first, figure it out, then try to cookie cut it. Because you'll get better each time, just like you figured out your deal from the beginning anyway. You weren't a pro day one. You're not going to be a pro day one when you're hiring.
One of the things that we've done recently, one of the things we did in the past, which I think was a mistake, was that I always thought we could take a lump of clay and throw it on a potter's wheel and then make a nice vase. We haven't, we didn't, depending on what they needed to do. Chuck just brought up critical thinking. What's their job going to be? Years ago, we had people just really making calls, and introducing us to different places. That was easy. You could take somebody that didn't have any great, let's not call it sales experience, and just do that. As long as they had a pleasant voice, and we usually brought in women because they have more pleasant voices than men, and they're trusted more naturally. But when it gets into something a little more tricky, like sales management, talking to people out in the field, they're with all kinds of scenarios. They have to have a lot of skill. They have to understand, one, what they're talking about, and they probably have had to do it themselves before, and then they have to understand what the situation that this person is in and go, okay, I've been there before, and so they can relate some things. And so like when we're hiring salespeople, for example, now we're not hiring, but bringing on a sales partner. In the past, we brought on something like 14,000 and some odd, over 14,000 salespeople, independent contractors, and most of those had no business being on our team. And we spent so much time trying to help them understand how to position themselves and say the thing to be able to go out and be successful. And they really should have just gotten a job somewhere because they weren't minded this way. and they weren't open to learning. They just, they just wanted, I don't know what they wanted, but they didn't want to learn and critical think. They didn't want to figure this stuff out, even though they were working with people who, Chuck and I, who have a tremendous amount of experience, a lot of personal firsthand success doing this, but they weren't the right people, and we couldn't help them. But we spent a lot of time, a lot of heartache on our own behalf trying to help these people who were like, but so today we to do that same position, we're like, all right, um, what have you done? Tell us what you've done, and then we can imagine, because we've dealt with so many scenarios. We go, okay, I can see how what you've done and how you communicate, that's going to work or not work. And I think probably the same is true for any position that you're hiring for. With this hard one, we'll call it hard won wisdom.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say higher experience, higher experience. When you hire your learning curve, the heartache is less. All these things, because then when they come in an interview, you can go, well, tell me about
Mhm.
this. And if they can only talk about the surface level stuff, nah. But when they go deep, and they're deep, it's like, what's that old saying? A fisherman can spot another fisherman a mile away.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
go, yep, you do know it. Yep, you do know. Now it's just a matter of, do we fit in other ways? But it's that experience, higher
Yeah,
experience, because it's
100%.
so damn difficult and time consuming, and I'll use the word heartache again, to train people who don't know what you're doing. And if you're assembling a little widget on an assembly line, that's one thing. They better have nimble fingers, right?
Right.
But beyond that, they can figure it out. When it's a more advanced sort of thing like what we do, uh, you want them to have you want that to have exact experience, except we usually don't look for exact experience because most companies teach you ways that we don't like. But there's parallel experience where you can go, all right, we'll take that. You can go deep, because you can go deep into a conversation about what you've done, and we'll understand it because we've seen so many things. And we've done not just this business, but we do other stuff, and have done a lot of things. And so we'll be able to understand if what you're talking about is true. But anyway, higher experience, and it'll be worth your time, and be worth your effort, and you won't have the heartache that you get when you hire people without experience.
Great. All right, we've got another question here. Um, all right. I am a massage therapist. I have a book of business that's been around for a number of years. A lot of the clients have been with me for a couple to several years. I haven't raised my prices in a while, but I'm trying to figure out how to grow. I'm a one man practice. I should probably raise my prices, but I'm
I know
scared
this
that
guy. I've had I swear, I've had this conversation with a massage therapist, because I had the same guy every Friday for 14 years, and he never changed his price. And I'm not sure what the question is, but I'm assuming I know. And he's always lamenting. It's always, wah. And I couldn't almost take it anymore. But I went, hold on a second, because and so I was laying there on the table getting a massage, and and he's lamenting about the same thing, exactly what you're talking about. And I said, well, okay, the fee that you charge, how did you come up with that? And he said, well, I looked around at all the others around me, and I thought, well, I'll just go right in the middle. And I said, okay, so the average price then? And he said, yeah, the average price. And I said, same thing. He has people like me. I was there for 14 years. And a lot of other people, I don't think anybody's ever been there nearly that close, but he has a lot of repeat business. And so I had to schedule this Friday at certain time well in advance and keep it on the books. Otherwise, other people would grab it, and then I'd have a tough time merging back to the schedule. So he was booked just like the guy you're talking about. And his fee was something like, I don't know, $89 or something. And I said, okay. Okay. So I go, okay, well, what would happen, just for fun, let's just imagine, what would happen if you doubled your price? And he goes,
I'd lose half my customers.
right.
I'd lose
So
half my
so
customers.
that's
Oh, same
exactly. He
pay
goes, well, I'd
half the
lose some
time.
customers. Right. Right. And I go, would you lose half of them? He goes, I don't think that many. But I go, okay. So if you lost half, you'd still be making the same money and you'd be working part time half the time, and then you could fill the rest of your schedule. And he was like, well, you could see, it wasn't working. He was like, well, I don't believe that. It's that he never did get beyond that. But I said, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you right now. Unless you raise your price, unless you raise the price for everybody else and me, I'm never coming back. And he's like, what are you talking about? You want me to raise? Yeah, I want you to raise the price. I want you to charge me more and charge everybody more. Otherwise, I'm leaving. And he's like, "You're out of your mind." I go, "No, I'm. You want to? Here's a solution to your problem. Raise your price." And I go, "Are you worth it? Do average work? Are you better?" Because he touts himself as, well, I went to this school and that school, and I have all these degrees, and I do so much better, like deep tissue and lymph drainage, and God only knows all the things. And he's always learning new things and bringing them into the massage room, and which is cool. Like he goes, I learned this thing, and I want to try it out. Do you mind? I go, yeah, I'm open to testing. And so I stayed with him for 14 years because I have gone to other massage places, and he was the best that I could find at the time. 14 years with this guy. So he is the best that I could find, and probably the best that a lot of other people can find. And he's still in business. If you look at his reviews, they're all 5-star reviews. So other people like him too. And he still hasn't changed his price as much. And I know he's getting older. If he damages a wrist or something, if one time he fell on the ice and snapped some bone, I don't know what it is, leg or arm or something, couldn't work for like a month. He's massaging hardcore kind of stuff. There's so anyway, I would, if what you provide is really good, raise your price. You can even test it. Here's an example of that from long ago when there used to be video stores. Back when there used to be video stores, when you walk in, you'd rent a video, like, a movie, right? And a VHS tape. That back when there's video stores like that. Everybody was at 99 cents. In every town across America, they were at 99 cents. And it was like a barrier. And everybody wanted to make more money. Like, I need to make more money for my little video store. But they would not go over $1. And finally, somebody, got the bold idea to go $1.29, and it made no difference. People still came in. They go, oh, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I mean, it was really 99 cents or $1.29. That was more money back then, but not that much more money, and nobody cared. And then pretty soon you see it's like, $1.99, because really it's about the same thing. And it doesn't matter if it's 99 cents or $1. Nobody cares. Because the value they're getting is well more than 2.99. And then later you'd see like all the other video stores, whatever they were called back then, Blockbuster and all those places. It was like $12, and you could rent 3 movies for 5 days, and it was and they're making gajillions of dollars. But it wasn't that far from that moment to back when everybody is scared to knock over 99 cents. So I would experiment with it. We've done things like that too, where I remember years ago we had something that was $6.95, I think is what it was, and we raised it to $9.95, which is what a 30. We raised a 50% increase.
50%.
Nobody left. Not one person even said anything.
Well, and it's like if you're providing the value too, people question it less. Provide the
Right.
value then, this, and I know
Yeah.
who you're talking about, and I couldn't handle his complaining about how much he wasn't making, so I went somewhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He was good at what he did, but it's like,
Good at what he
yeah,
did.
I couldn't take it anymore either. And
Yeah.
finally, he left because this was through a chiropractic clinic, and he left and went across the freeway and started his own gig. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity for me to find somebody that was a better fit,
Yeah.
because I couldn't take the crybaby attitude anymore. But anyway, you know, so did that answer the question? It's like, you know, test it, double it. You probably aren't going to be so bold as to double it. But if you did and half the people left, but people are afraid. It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, what's going to test it? Don't test it, you know, just test it.
And that's
You
a
test
tough
it.
business because you can never be free. See, that doesn't fit the way I would operate because I'd go, you know, he might make a decent living, but what happens the day he quits massage therapy?
He
He's
doesn't
not
make a decent
free.
living. You
And
know,
he doesn't make
he's
a decent.
not, it's not a free, yeah, when you provide a service also, by the way, uh you're limited to, like this guy is, that you're the guy with the question is totally full and not make enough money. That's the service industry. That's exactly what happens. If you're good at what you do, you get full, and then and so what you need to do is, if you're full, that means you're creating enough value for what they're paying.
Mhm.
And so the chances are, if you're that full, that you're probably actually creating probably more value.
Right,
So charge a little bit more. You're probably not going to lose anybody at all. You
right.
could, in the massage business, really, because you go, well, you know, their massage is $89. Yeah, but that girl just got out of school and she crippled the last guy.
And you're
You know, no,
129, people aren't going to complain.
yeah,
And take
you
that
know,
extra money you start charging them and start putting it somewhere where you get passive income. Because at some point, your elbows, your hands, your joints, you're not going to be able to massage. I mean, I'm running the numbers on this. You go, okay, if the guy's making $89 a massage, you'd have to do 100 of them a month to make any kind of money. You know,
you know, and you look at,
that's
yeah,
a lot of work on the,
I've asked massage people too, like, how many of these do you do a day? And if they do maybe they can work 5 hours a day.
right?
So, you know, they can do, let's, you know, easy math, $500. You know, they're making their 10 grand a month, but they're wearing them. They can't do, they,
Can't do it if it's
you
not
rarely
sustainable.
see, no, you rarely see, like, this guy has probably been around for 20 years. You almost never see that, but he's a stocky character.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, and not just, he's not like, oh, he's not like, you know, like, you imagine the, like in Eastern Europe, right, with
yeah,
with sweater over their shoulder, and they come in and, you know, at the gym and massage you. This guy
yeah,
is round, and
yeah.
you know, for being a health person, he is absolutely one of the least healthy people ever. His fingers are orange from the Cheetos that he had, you know, between massages.
No, they're not. But but
They're
he's
not.
definitely not a pillar
But he
elder.
must eat like that the way he looks.
Yeah. But you can't sustain it. That's not a good life.
You know, Chuck made a good comment too. It's like, look, hold on a second. One, where is it that you want to go? And you go, okay, this doesn't work. Raise your price. You can experiment with how much that, you know, really, probably these days, given massage prices, you can go up 30%. So you can increase your revenue immediately by 30%. If the money that you're already making covers your bills, you're going to have 30% more. And if you're already making 10 grand, well, that means you've got 3,000 a month now to do invest it. Start doing something different.
Mhm.
Invest it, make that money turn into more money, because and you're
Not
going to
in
get
a new
3,000 more.
Porsche, not in a new
Yeah, yeah.
car.
Don't get the Porsche. Not yet.
Don't
Not yet.
don't do that
Make
yet.
make the No. Make sure, use the money to buy the Porsche comes from the money that you make off your money.
Exactly.
So, but not from the massage money. Yeah, get an extra 3 grand a month right away, and then put that into something where, because you're gonna have 3,000 a month this month, next month. By the end of the year, you've got $36,000 in this investment, and now you're starting to get some traction. A year from now, you've got 100 grand plus whatever you've made. You know, maybe you've got 200,000. If you know, imagine 2 years from now running like you are, you've got nothing besides beat up hands and body. But raise your price by 30%, and 2 years from now, you've got $100,000 plus whatever you made in interest, or you know, growth, or whatever the case is. And at that point too, you've got $200,000, or I'm sorry, you've got, after 2 years, you've got $76,000. Let's say 100,000 with growth.
Yep.
So you've got 100 grand Now, if you do want to get into something different like real estate, you've got $100,000 to put down on something, plus you've got $3,000 a month in case you don't have a renter that you're not going to get upside down with. And so now you can start playing the game, and it all started from this massage money, and
Right.
that other little business starts
That's
growing, and
right.
at some point, when
Well,
throw
let's
out your
say,
elbow and you go, well, this other thing now covers my nut, and I don't have to do massage, or I
well,
just do half of it.
look at it this way, because exactly right. You take that 100,000, you buy a piece of real estate, and let's say you're cash flowing, not including the principal you're picking up each month, you're cash flowing $300 a month on your rental property. Now he can do 3 less massages a month. So he
Yeah,
can start
right,
saving his
right.
body. Or
If
he can
that's
go,
what you want to do,
no,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Or no, I'm going to
yeah,
continue doing the same amount of massages until I can have 10 rental units. And then I can, there, I'm making 3,000 a month. Now I'm going to do two. Now I can double my price, lose half my clients, keep half my clients, the money makers. And then that free
right.
time that I have now, because I'm only doing it part time, I'm going to take 10% of that free time and make sure my rental business is solid. You got to transit because that is not free being a massage therapist if you don't do what we just, that whole idea that we just kind of talked through. You'll never be free your whole life. What are you going to be standing there and you're going to die over somebody someday while you're massaging them? I mean, is that what you want to do?
And given the
No.
size of this guy, I wouldn't want him to fall on
I
me
wouldn't
because
want it falling on me either. But you notice how you notice like any of these questions that come up, like, well, how do I do this? Do I raise my prices or what? We're always going to figure out a way to shift this to becoming free.
right,
Because see, this is our mindset. Our mindset is no, because what he's doing is not a project. It's a hell of a long project to get free doing it the way he's talking. And the only way he can get free is he has to raise his prices because he needs
right,
that extra money to get into something he can build for freedom.
exactly. Yep.
Otherwise, just stay in your lane, accept the fact that this is what you're going to be the rest. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the way I'd want to live my life.
Well, it's not here. Here's our channel is about. It's called the Freedom Challenge. So like, all right, what's your situation? All right, and your challenge is you want to be free.
Right.
Okay, here's how we'd look at it, and that's what you get is
Yeah,
what you just
that's
got.
well, perfectly
Yeah.
said. We got time for one more?
I think we do. All right.
Not that one.
Yeah,
Not that
pick the
one.
next one.
Ignore that question.
Yeah, that one's too tricky for us.
Yeah.
Too tricky. Too tricky. All right. This question is I spend too much time, I feel like I spend too much time watching what my competitors are doing, their pricing, marketing, new services. Sometimes I find it motivating, but most of the time it ends up making me second guess my own strategy. Everybody's telling, the common sort of belief is you need to keep an eye on your competition, but it's starting to feel like a distraction from building my own thing. How much attention do you recommend paying attention to what others are doing in your space versus just focusing on building your own thing?
That's a question. It's sort of a question that like when we're interviewing somebody for a position at a company, they go, well, how about, how do you relate to the competition, blah, 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 blah. Assuming that, because this is one of those things. All right, let's put on our freedom glasses here for a moment, right? You go, okay. So let me cut to the chase. One is I understand what the competition is doing. I do not look at them I'll look at them, I don't know, a couple times a year, maybe.
Well, you look at it when it
Maybe.
comes up. Like when you're in a situation that someone else is working on it, then I never looked. The only time I ever looked at the competition is if I'm trying to gain a new account and the competition is in there. And then you just pick apart what they do. I mean, I don't. I don't spend any time unless I run.
Yeah, I don't either. Because you go, all right, the chances of back to freedom, where the idea here is what we do is for freedom. And usually what everybody else in the world is doing is what everybody else in the world is doing. They're copying somebody else.
Yep.
And typically what everybody's doing is absolutely, it's more corporate America than freedom. So they're doing something that's going to be pretty much similar to this, everybody else. So I don't really care what that is. Uh, because I go, all right, because the project that I'm working on here is, all right, here's the lifestyle that I want to create. I've got my little blueprint. I've drawn a little picture. Here's what it looks like. The front page of my lifestyle, my life and lifestyle blueprint says, all right, there's my home. Here's my other home. Here's the travel I'm doing. Here's what the kids are doing. Here's my wife gardening. Here's the Porsche in the garage. Here's the things that I get, the free time I get to go to the museum or whatever the case, go fishing, do the things that I love to do. And I go, okay, that has a price tag on it. How much does that cost? And also, how much time do I need away from work to do all these things with wife, kids, travel around, fish, go to the museum? It's like, okay. And so now I go, okay, what kind of work am I doing that's going to fund that time and the money? And so then I look at like what we do, and I ask myself, well, how can I use this to get that? And that's all how I find to use this to get that is almost never what my competition is doing. They're all doing corporate America, standard run down the road, looking at the wrong stuff. They're like, how can I get another sale? How can I get another sale? Or that sort of thinking. And I'm going, how can I get free? How can I get free? How can I get free? And so because that's how I look at it, and I'm building freedom, uh, therefore I don't spend a lot of time dealing with that. It's good to be aware of what's going on out there. I'm not saying, put your head in the sand, but I'm using this for a different purpose than what they probably are. Therefore, I'm going to go about it a little bit differently, and I don't care so much about what the other goofballs down the street are doing. Does that make sense?
Hmm. I think we have a little bit more time here. You guys up for one more question?
No.
Yeah, as long as Chuck answers it.
We got our call. We got our call at 1:30 today.
Let's do one more. It's only 12:40. Let's do one more.
Okay. All right. Um, all right. So this one is people keep telling me that if I want to build real wealth, I need to think build bigger, franchise, go national, build something I can sell for millions. Um, but I like my lifestyle business and the freedom it gives me. But it seems like there's some stigma around a lifestyle business. Can you actually build significant wealth without building a massive company?
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, I
Go ahead.
I read an article the other day in because passive income is always something people always ask me about. Well, how does passive income work? Especially younger folks, and how many streams of passive income or semi-passive, right? Because we talk about very few things are 100% passive. The average millionaire in this country has five passive income streams of some sort, and they said the average billionaire has 7. And and I guess I don't know what massive wealth is to this person, but I know people that have, their businesses. You ever read The Millionaire Next Door? Okay, and they talk about like the millionaire next door is a guy that, maybe worked at the post office, only made 40 grand a year his whole life, but he's a multimillionaire because he did the right things with his money. If this, whatever this person's doing, what do you do if you're just making enough to cover your bills and be financially free? Yeah, you're not going to build massive wealth unless you sell your deal someday. It's really the only way, unless you make that 3,000 more the massage therapist was making to put into something else, that you can build wealth, you can have 5 different things going on. You can have a $20 million real estate portfolio. To some people, that's massive wealth, right? Even though their job, they never made more than 100 grand a year. So you see what I'm saying? It's what you do with it that, because I was having this conversation the other day with a buddy of mine. It just bought a new house. And he's like, I want to keep my house and rent it, but my wife is all like, oh, well, we want the money out of it. And he goes, we don't need it. And I go, yeah, I mean, keeping it and renting it, that's a balance sheet game, because he can only probably get rent for what it cost him per month. But every month someone pays that mortgage down for him, he's gaining wealth, right? Because he owes less on the house. So every time it's paid down, he becomes, his balance sheet goes up and his liabilities go down, right? And his assets go up. That's gaining wealth. How do you want to do it? If he's going, I want to be a billionaire, well, you're probably not going to do that. If you only make an extra 3 grand a month, you're probably not going to get there. But whatever you're doing with the extra money that your freedom lifestyle thing has given you, that's why John and I talked about, we both invested in real estate. Because we're going, well, what else can we do that's semi-passive? Where can you put your money? Because putting it just in a bank account earning 0.15% interest is not a way to gain wealth. You have to put your money to work for you. If you owned a trucking company and you looked out your window and all your semi trucks were sitting in your parking lot, you're going broke. Your semi trucks have to be out on the road earning you money. Same with your money. Your money cannot just sit under your mattress and gain substantial wealth. You have to put it to work for you somehow. And if you don't know, talk to someone who does. But you don't have
Chuck, you
to.
sound biblical. It sounds like it sounds like what's the story of the guy who gave his 3 sons the talents? That's you. That was the
Yeah,
Book of Charles.
Book of
You know,
Charles right there.
but it's true. The one that said, "Oh, Father, I buried it in the ground," or whatever the story was, and it's all right here. I wanted to be here when you came back, and he's like, "Son."
I wanted you to grow that.
But Ian, the question was, people. So this guy, the person that's asking the question says, "Oh, people are telling me I need to get franchise or go national or something to build wealth, right? Can I build wealth in different ways that I don't have to have all that overhead sort of stuff, right?" That's the question. So I would say, I would say stop listening to other people and start listening to yourself. But first of all, ask yourself a question. What is it? We always go back to this, and this is what most people miss, because they all ask these sort of questions like, oh, I want to make all this money, and then what they realize, they've got no time to do all the things that they want to do. Their life on the rest of things goes to hell in a handbasket because they work 90 hours a week trying to do this national thing. And I just stop, just step away, because you can always go back and run like your hair is on fire. That's okay. You can always go do that. But I would say just step back and go, okay, go, what do I want to build? We always go back to this. What is it that I want? What do I want? What life am I building? So I take some time and really plan it out and draw a picture of it, little kids and a sunshine and a sailboat and a Porsche in the garage. And so I look at it, and so I don't just draw that. I go, okay, what does it really look like? And then I really do draw it. And and then I go, okay, how much does that cost, and how much time do I need to do to drive the Porsche, to play with the kids, to go to Europe and skinny dip on the Riviera, whatever I want to do. I need time and I need money to do these things. So then what I need for my work then needs to be able to support those things, the time and the money, and also doing something that I find enjoyable, that is a challenge. It's challenging to me that I go, I'm going to go, once I figure this out, I turn the page and there's another one. And the more I do, and the more the lights come on, the more the lights come on. So they go, okay, so now the work that I do, this is the part that I just talked about. Nobody does it.
Mhm.
And then they can't quite figure out why what they're doing doesn't get them the happy lifestyle with all the money that they've always wanted, because they never did that first piece. Now I can go, okay, what do I need to do that's going to get me there? So it almost never, sometimes it does. I know I know a guy. He goes, man, my ultimate would be I want to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I think I'd rather get kicked in the stomach, because that does not fit. Because you see what that lifestyle is. I know a lot of wealthy people, and I don't know many wealthy people that are really happy. They get fat and old and sick, and then they lament just like everybody else does. "Oh, I spent too much time at the office."
Hmm.
No, no, you just didn't go through that process up front, decide what you want to do. So now knowing the lifestyle I want to create, now I go, okay, what do I need to do that gives me the money, the time, and the enjoyment to be able to do those things that I want to do? And if those that you go, okay, part of that is this big national business. Okay, well then what we do is we set it up in a way that gives you the money and the
Right.
time.
It's the
And the
time.
time is going to the time right the time is going to
That's
be the big deal in that
that's
one.
the big
So we
issue.
need to set it up in a freedom way, not in a corporate America way, not in a
Right.
traditional way, because that does not give you time. It does not give you freedom. So we'd go about it a little bit differently. I once worked with a guy. He goes, man, I want to have 1,000 employees someday. And I looked at him and
Ugh,
thought, you are out of your mind.
right?
That's it. That's your definition of success. Like some people, right? They go, like a guy I met years ago. Uh, he figured I just worked at home and did I don't know what he thought I did, but then he realized, oh, you do all this stuff. I didn't realize because I didn't see. I didn't see. You don't have a big restaurant with your name on it. You don't have a building with your
Hmm.
company name.
Hmm.
You don't have any of that stuff. I go, I don't want any of that stuff. What
Right.
I want is a lot of money and a lot of freedom doing something that I enjoy, that I feel challenging about. I want time to be able to go with my kids on a trip, each one of them somewhere, wherever they want to go once a year. And I've got three of them. So it's probably going to be at least a week somewhere. So there's 3 weeks I'm doing that. I also have a wife. She wants to go places. We all want to go places together. I need money and time to be able to do that. Uh, and I want to go have lunch when they're little. I want to go have lunch with them on Fridays at their school. I want to be able to coach their sports. So I need to set things up so that I have time to do those things. Because when I did those things, I find that there's no other dads in those rooms. There's very
Right.
few dads on the field. And when it's game time and little Jimmy is standing there, slumped over with his helmet hanging on the ground. I go, Jimmy, where's your dad? And then his mom says, oh, you know, George had to work. You know how it is. And I said,
Well, you don't say
I
anything, but
I
internally,
finally,
you
because
don't say anything, but internally
I
you go,
know
no, I
how it
don't know
is,
how it is.
but it's not very intentional, George. And so next time you see him, I go, get your ass out here, at least for practice. Get out here. Because imagine, would it feel good if you did it? Yeah. And if you don't, how's that going to feel? How'd little Jimmy feel when you weren't at his game?
Well, this is the whole
Yeah.
reason why
Anyway, so,
you
but this
do.
is life, man. It's real, and people wish they would have done things differently.
Yeah, don't bring on more liabilities. More liabilities take time. You
Yeah,
know,
more time liabilities,
yeah,
right?
time liabilities, right? And that's why you can, if wealth is what this person wants to gain, and I don't know if he's telling his friends, I want a lot of wealth, so they're going, you need to do this or whatever is, but you got to figure out what everybody's got their number. Some people, but why do people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, why do they keep trying to make more? I don't need that. That's not my thing. I don't need that. I need enough to be able to do all the things to have the lifestyle that I want. My lifestyle, and I think John's the same. I'd rather be under the radar. You don't even know. But I have like, how does this guy have all this free time to do all these things with his family? Because he's making different decisions. And that's the more important to me is the lifestyle over.
Yeah,
And it's like you ever meet people that you go, well, I'm the vice president. Oh, okay. All right, whatever. That's them. That's their identifier. My
yeah.
identifier is I'm the dad that showed up. I'm the dad that was
Yeah, that
always there.
identifier is interesting, isn't it? Because when you go
Yeah.
someplace, you go, "Hey, what do you do with your life?" Go, "Well, I'm an accountant." And I think, okay, well, that's wonderful because there's 1.3 million of you people in the United States,
Right.
and that's it. Then, or they go, "Well, I'm a retired accountant." Worse, there are 90 million of you goofballs.
Right.
That's it. That's your identity. It's like let's just back up. Let's like go look. okay, when you die, what do they want? What do you want them to say? Well, he was a retired accountant. He was a hell of an accountant. It's like, really? That's I don't know, but everybody has their own idea, right? But most people don't take the time to understand who they are, and later, again, later they lament. Number one regret of the dying. I spent too much time in the office. No, you spent too much time doing things that you didn't make a conscious decision about. So. Uh, for me, I don't want that. I think ahead, like at the end, when it's all said and done, what am I glad I did? What am I glad I did? And if there are things that I haven't done that, what will I wish I would have done? And I ask myself that on a regular basis. And throughout the day, I even have reminders that pop up that say, that ask myself, are you doing what matters most? Doing what matters most? And it's a yes or no. I have to score myself. And so it keeps me on track, like, oh, yeah, yeah. Because you just look at something and you click this and click that, and pretty soon, and then that pops up and you go, oh, I snap out of it. So anyway, so I think the question was, do I have to go big and national and all the stuff to make a lot of money? Absolutely not. And if you do want to do that, you do it if you want freedom, because this is the freedom channel. So let's set it up so that you get freedom along the way, starting immediately. How can I do things today? How can I create this to get more and more and more freedom as this grows bigger? Is how you'd want to start thinking about it, I think. What gives me the time and the money in something I enjoy? Where those overlap, where those intersect, that's the only thing, and it's a very, very small area. That's the only thing you want to do. Absolutely do not do what's in anywhere else on those three overlapping circles. Do not do those things. Only do the stuff where it overlaps, or at least 90% of what you do. Every once in a while you're going to stumble off. You're going to go, that really didn't hit all three of these. Has to hit all three. Otherwise, don't do it. Figure out, you got to go, okay. And I know you go, well, in the meantime, I need to do these things. Okay, well, that's your 10%. But you need to be figuring out, turning the dials to figure out how to zero in and be in that little zone that you do very, very few things. Like most things you do not do. You only do these things that get you the money, the time, and the things that you enjoy the challenge.
And most people that make a lot of money do one thing very, very well. That's how it starts. Just focus on that. Focus on the one thing you do really well.
And I would say do the thing you do well. There's however, you can get in a trap and never get beyond that, and keep polishing. If you continue just to polish the things that you're good at, you're not going to get very far. But it's a good place to start, and then you want to experiment. Okay, how? Because chances are, if you do what you're good at, you're going to get like somebody that's a natural born salesperson. I would I'm not particularly fond of that, because they know that they're good, or a natural athlete who never gets beyond their natural ability. So and then they live glory days. The world around them changes, and they stay the same. So even if you're really good at something, that's fine for the moment. But as the world changes, it's going to shift away from
Well, you
what
got to
you're good at.
evolve. You have to
You
evolve,
have to
of course.
evolve. So back to the guy's original question. No, you don't have to go big. You can, but this is the freedom challenge. It's a freedom challenge. So we're doing this not just for money. We're also enjoying. It's building the lifestyle that feels free to us.
Right.
So we need to set it up to have the time to be able to do those things, not just beat ourselves to death, to go national with something that doesn't matter, well, that doesn't work to get you free. It's important just to do those things if you want freedom.
Nailed it. All right, I think
That's an element
that
most
hits it.
people miss. They don't teach freedom in college. So I would go to any MBA school and ask them, go, hey, where do I sign up for the freedom class? They go, wow.
I always laugh in college when they teach you they have entrepreneurial studies.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
you've got to be wired that way. You got to come out like either
It's a
you have
spirit.
it's what?
A spirit.
It's the spirit, right? Yeah, you don't you can't either you grew up in an environment that was promoted, or you just had it. It's a spirit, it's a way, it's within you. It's not, you can't go to college to learn that. It doesn't.
Yeah, and if you look at what they consider, I mean, look at the curriculum of being an entrepreneur. It's it's not freedom. It's not freedom. Entrepreneur typically means I'm going to do this stuff to get free, right? But look at it. Go to any of these schools and look at what the curriculum is for being for majoring in, or whatever they call it, an entrepreneur emphasis, or I got my MBA in entrepreneurialism. Yeah, it's not freedom stuff. It's not freedom stuff. It's not freedom stuff
Well,
at all. They call it that because it's, like so much advertising, right? You can say anything in advertising, it
well, sure.
seems. Oh, because kids don't want to sell, and they don't want to do all kinds of stuff that actually works. So you have to trick them. You have to call it marketing. You have to call it entrepreneurialism. And so schools do. They go,
Right.
well, hey, you can be an entrepreneur. You can be a marketer. And then when you get out, you get a job driving a Pepsi truck.
Or
And
to
that's not
them,
what you had in mind. You wanted to
no,
be free.
or to
Yeah.
them, it's like, yeah, look, see, you've created your own job, see, so you're free. You've created your own job. No, that's not free. I don't want to create a job. I want to create a way of living. And the guy that owns UPS or mailbox, etc. The guy that is the massage therapist. Is he free? I mean, he's an entrepreneur. So is he free though? No, but that's what they teach in college. Oh, you're free. You've got your own deal. No, I'm not free. I got to massage people 5 hours a day. I'm not free. You didn't teach me
No,
that.
no, I work
Okay.
90 hours a week doing the stuff. Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
my
but
own
you're free.
job,
You're an
my own
entrepreneur.
business,
Yeah, but you're
but
an
I'm not.
entrepreneur.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.